Hey Links family, great to be able to connect with you on this Links e-link. Today I want to talk to you for a moment about becoming the move of God. This Sunday we stood with believers in the name of Jesus, speaking truth over tyranny, declaring peace over Ukraine. We were in the city of Brighton and we were lifting up worship to God. It was an event put on by our friends Martin and Anna Smith. And in a moment during the time of worship, they invited up a mother and a daughter from the city of Mariupol in Ukraine, and they joined with the worshippers on the stage, and through floods of tears they spoke of their destroyed cities and their lost loved ones, and yet in the rubble of their brokenness they declared that they had hope in Jesus. Many people have joined with us on Friday to pray, where we connected with our partners, some of our partners in Ukraine and in Hungary. Many of you will know Links has been working with partners both in Ukraine and many of the surrounding nations, providing help for people who are reaching out in this desperate moment. But you will have heard that they told stories of how in the middle of what seems like the darkest moment, God is moving and God is doing incredible things like they never would have imagined in all of the time that they've been working there. You know, according to the UNHCR, there are around 10 million Ukrainian refugees, most of whom have tried to seek refuge in other parts of the nation, but over 3.5 million have fled to other surrounding nations, most of whom are women and children. Now, because of your generosity, we've been able to raise tens of thousands of pounds now to support our partners out on the ground who are literally helping hundreds of different people who are coming through their places of ministry every day. Now, these are people who usually they have Bible schools and they have other work that they're doing with their communities, but everything has been turned around so that they can look after this migration of people that the historians are saying is the largest and fastest migration of people since the Second World War. Now, isn't it ironic that at the same time we're coming up to the time of both Passover and Holy Week, where we remember two of the greatest rescue stories of all time. Firstly, we remember the story where God saved out of bondage and slavery for 400 years to a superpower, the Egyptian superpower of the time. God rescued a nation in one night and said enough. And then we remember that by the sinless sacrifice of one man, salvation has extended to the entire human race as his blood dripped in the cursed dust. Everything changed, and he declared it is finished. And we remember that right now. In the Jewish Passover Seder meal, there are 4 questions that are asked. This is called the Ma Nishtana, which essentially is the Hebrew word for why. Why? And the first of these questions is, why is this night different from all other nights? And what ensues then is the story of the Exodus. But in shorthand, the answer to that question is, we once were slaves, but now we are free. And it all begins with action, because God appears to a man who didn't believe in himself, to a guy who was spending his existence out on the back end of a desert, who had decided that he was never going to do anything else with his life. He was running from his destiny in many ways, and God meets with him and God shows his power to him. And the scriptures say that at the end of Exodus chapter 4 that they worship God, but then they take action. And it says in Exodus 5 verse 1, it says, afterwards Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. Not what we say. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. Let my people go. And we know the story of what happens and what then ensues. They have worshipped God, but then their worship propels them into action. They can't stay silent. They can't hold back. They have to move. Now, I grew up in charismatic evangelical culture. And so there was always a lot of rhetoric around revival and awakening and the moves of God. And don't get me wrong, I am passionate about the way that God has moved and seeing that happen in our generation. And I live for that in many ways. But, you know, sometimes it can cause us to have a bit of an apathy and to take a bit of a backseat and to act as if we're waiting on heaven, instead of realizing that heaven is actually waiting on us. The great revivalist Charles Finney said, "I pray as if it all depends on God, and then I get up and take action as if it all depends on me." We are not waiting on a move of God. You and I are called to be the move of God. We are called to be the ones who stand up and step out and say, enough is enough. God is looking for us to take action. Jesus' last command, the Great Commission, was that we would go into all the world and preach the good news to all of creation, every nation, every people, tribe, tongue, and every sphere of influence, declaring that Jesus rules and reigns and is over it all. We are called to step out and to be the move of God. On the 26th of February, there was an article in The Economist talking about President Zelensky in the Ukraine. Many of you will have been deeply inspired by the attitude of this leader who could have chose comfort, who could have escaped the onslaught and could have escaped the horrors of this moment, and probably wouldn't have been criticized too much. But he's decided to stand with his people, to sacrifice, and to consistently hold up truth in the face of evil and tyranny. Now, Zelensky, many of you will know, he started out his career as an entertainer. He's an actor, and did well for himself in that before moving into politics. And this article was called "How President Volodymyr Zelensky Found His Roar." And reading it, you cannot help but be inspired and feel like this is a prophetic symbol of something that needs to happen in the church. For too long, we've been content to entertain people. For too long, we've been content with our services and our music and our motivational talks. Great though some of those things can be, we are not called to entertain people. We are called to be those that have the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah within us, that stand up and say enough is enough to the onslaught of the enemy, that stand up and speak truth into the places of darkness and declare that victory has come. You know why this night is different to every other night? Because Jesus has come and set the captives free. He's brought recovering of sight to the blind, deliverance to the captives. We are called to be the move of God. You and I, we are called to pray, to give, to go. Every single one of us, we are called to impact our Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. And I am so grateful to each and every one of you who stand with us in Links International, not only in the moments of crisis, but you stand with us to see the possibilities when we connect people, when we confront poverty, when we create potential. You and I together, we are seeing lives changed and communities transformed. So thank you for walking with us. Thank you for committing not just to wait on a move of God, but to become the move of God. Let's keep on finding our roar, and let's keep on lifting up our voices to see transformation come to our generation. Thank you, and God bless you.